Today's featured author is Lynda Sunshine West. She grew up in a volatile environment that was physically and verbally abusive. It was an alcoholic household, and she ended up marrying someone that was just like her dad. As a result, her voice was stifled. It left her feeling suppressed, ignored, and judged, and literally shut her down. I'm sure there are many of you out there who are watching who can relate to similar experiences. Stay with us, don't go away. We'll be right back with some more on Lynda Sunshine West. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show. This is Books with Bridgetti. I'm your host from Cape Town in South Africa, and I would love to know where you are joining us from. This live stream is made possible by StreamYard and BeLive Media. If you're joining us on Amazon, a warm welcome. Please remember to unmute. This is an audience-centric show, and we are monitoring the comments. So feel free to say hello, comment, ask a question. And if you've got questions for our authors in particular, our author today would love to hear from you. So post that in the comment as well. Our author for today is Lynda Sunshine West. She is a fearless entrepreneur and author. But that isn't exactly how her story started. At the age of 51, she found a life coach who helped her discover that she has value, and it was time for her to raise her voice and speak out loud. And that's how she learned that praise was okay, that recognition was okay, and that acknowledgement was okay. But let's not waste any more time. I'm going to invite Lynda to join us because no one else can tell her story better than her. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Lynda. Lynda, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bridgetti. And it's so funny because as you were saying, nobody could tell her story like her. I would just like to hear it in your voice better, though. I love your voice. Thank you. Your accent is awesome.
Thanks, Lynda. We all have a story in us, and I think sometimes we just don't know how to frame or shape that story somehow so that our story becomes empowering instead of paralyzing us. Because I think that's where we all start out. We feel paralyzed by our story and our journey. And we need to be able to, and I think that's probably where your life coach came in, helping you shape the story so that it gave you power instead of draining your energy.
That's for sure. It's interesting. when I was growing up in the environment I grew up in, which was a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household, you mentioned that at the beginning, is when you're going through that kind of pain and that kind of misery, you don't really realize that you can get out of it until you meet somebody, and you have to have that open mind, open heart to hear them. Right. And so I was at that place in my life at age 51, where I was asking myself the questions that a lot of people ask themselves at different ages. And that's like, what is the purpose? What is my purpose? How do I fit in? What, do I even have any reason for being here? I don't have any value. I really believe these things about myself. So when I worked with my life coach, it was an incredible healing journey. And, to tell your story at the beginning, it was hard for me to tell it because I would just cry almost every single time. But the more you tell it, it's not that I've become desensitized to it. The difference is that I've actually healed through it, that it no longer adversely impacts me and no longer affects my life in a bad way. It no longer makes me, sorrow. Like I don't have a sorrow over it anymore. And now I've come to a place where now I appreciate the life that I've had, because that's what got me to who I am today. That's what gives me the compassion I have today. That's what gives me the ability to relate to people who have gone through things that I've gone through. But I'll tell you what, during that healing phase, it was not that fun at all. It was a lot of pain, because going through those memories was very painful, but I'm so glad I'm on this side of it.
I'm glad too. It's amazing how much pain all of us can live with, and not all of us. Um, I think a lot of people hold back from seeing a coach or a psychologist or a psychiatrist because somehow there is a stigma attached to it, and I think more so with the men in our lives. It's sort of like not the done thing. Even when I grew up, and I'm sure that was the case, when you grew up as well, we didn't go and see psychologists and therapists those
Mm-mm.
days. Nowadays, if we see our children are struggling with something, we don't hesitate to reach out to a professional to help, or even to have a personal coach for that matter. But those days it was different. We didn't do things like that. And so it's been a huge paradigm shift for us to be able to seek help and know that it's okay to seek help.
And the thing is that there are so many different types of modalities, of people to see, is like before, like they call it the shrink, right? Like I'm going to go to the shrink or whatever. And people didn't really admit that that often, but a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a coach, but there's so many different types of modalities out there. And I think that's the beauty of it, is we have so many different options that if you resonate with somebody, that, whatever their title is, it doesn't really matter what that title is. It's that if they can help me, why not? But we ourselves, we have to have, again, that open mind, open heart, and open soul to hear what they have to say, to be able to jump into that, to take that next step. And we have to be willing and able to be able to open up enough that we will learn from them and then be able to move forward, because we got to do the work. Like my life coach, she's like, don't give me credit for that. You did all the work. I just asked you the right questions. You did all the work. And I'll tell you what, that was hard for me to take, that she was saying that I deserved credit, because I never gave myself credit for anything prior to that. So it's been an amazing, amazing healing journey that I've been on. And it ain't over. It ain't over. I still got healing to do, but I'm doing it. I'm doing the work.
Linda, I don't think one ever really gets over your experiences. I think, with time, as you heal, it gets easier to talk about it. But I don't think, because you'll always have a trigger that'll take you back to that dark place. But I think, having some form of therapy or coach helps you recognize the triggers so that you can do something when you are triggered, instead of allowing it to spiral, to go into a downward spiral. So I think that, for me, was the big thing about having therapy, was learning to recognize the triggers in my life.
Yeah, I agree with that, because one of my triggers is biggest fear I ever had was the fear of judgment. And, a lot of that stemmed from my childhood, the judgment that was in my own household. Right. And then I ended up becoming that judgmental person. And just the other day, something came up and I recognized it. Oh my God, there it is. The fear of judgment. It just popped up again. But like you said, I can recognize it because there's something that happens physiologically inside of my body. And I notice, oh, something weird's happening here. What is this? Is what I ask myself. And then if it's the fear of judgment, I say, oh, just get over it, and keep moving. But in the
Get behind
past, I
me,
wouldn't.
Satan, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Watch out, because here I come.
Absolutely. So how did your journey lead to writing The Year of Fears? And tell us a little bit about that journey of writing that book.
Well, it all started again, the life coach that I had in 2014. I was driving to work and I was asking myself those questions like, what's the purpose of this planet? Why am I here? What is my purpose on this planet? Then I got to work and there was this Facebook post from this woman. I didn't know her. And it said, I'm a life coach. I took some time off. I'm getting back into it. I'm looking for 5 women who want to change their lives. And I was like, that lady's talking to me. So I raised my hand and I ended up working with her. And it was incredible because what happened was I worked with her for 5 months until the end of November of 2014. So December, I was by myself and I had gotten so used to having somebody, push me, somebody ask me these questions, somebody who's holding me accountable week after week after week. And so much change had been happening for that 5 months. And so when I had that downtime, December, that there was very little change that happened. What I did is January 1st of 2015, I woke up that morning and I said, I got so addicted to that change and I really miss it. I missed the challenges that my life coach was taking me under. And I said, I don't want to go through a life coach again because I really learned a lot with her. So you know what? I have so many fears. I'm going to face a fear every single day this year. So I made a commitment to myself. It wasn't a New Year's resolution because I don't know about you, but I break every New Year's resolution I've ever set in my life. So I don't do those. And it was a commitment. And what I did is every single morning when I woke up, the very first thing I would do is I would ask myself the question, what scares me? Those simple 3 words changed my life, completely changed my life. So every day I would ask that question, and whatever was the very first response that came up, that was the fear I had to face that day. Again, this was my commitment to myself. It was a commitment to face a fear every single day. So what happened as I was going through the year, 3 months into it, 6 months into it, what happened is that about 3 months into it, I was attending an event called Secret Knock. And one of the speakers at the event, his name is Frank Shankwitz. He passed away just a couple months ago. Amazing man. He was the creator and founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And he said something in his speech. Well, he was up there, and the very last things he said is, everyone is a hero. If I can do it, you can do it. And something clicked in me. And it said, wow, I'm a hero? I asked myself, I'm a hero? And then I started thinking, you know what? I am a hero to some people. It doesn't mean I have to have granted 500,000 wishes. I don't need to compare myself to other people. I don't need to judge myself against other people. And I started just thinking about how amazing that is that, we all are a hero to somebody. So anyway, I went through the year. And as I was facing these fears every day, I was growing. I was gaining a lot of confidence. I was meeting some incredible people. I was hobnobbing with, multimillionaires and billionaires and learning from them. I just really was able to insert myself into the places that I needed to be. So at the end of the year, I had a mentor that had been with me during that year. At the end of the year, he said, that's awesome. You face a fear every day. What are you going to do now? And I said, what do you mean? I face the fear every day. I think that's plenty. He's like, no, you need to write a book. And he said, you need to write a book about your fears. So I wrote the book called The Year of Fears, the 7 most important lessons that I learned that will save you time and money. But first I said, write a book. I don't want to write a book. That's too hard. I'm not a writer. And he said, no, you need to write a book. Tell your story because there's somebody out there that needs to hear it. And I started writing my book, started for about a year. I just never finished it. I know a lot of people out there who start their book and don't finish it. And I was one of those. So what happened was I met somebody along this journey who helped me and guided me along the path of what I needed to do in order to finish my book. And I did it. I finished it in a week and I published it the next week. It became a best-selling
Wait,
book
wait,
that,
wait, wait,
oh,
Lynda, you wrote that
what?
book in 1 week?
Yes. But
Oh my gosh. Wow.
here's the thing. The story was in my head. It was already written. It was written in my head. So I need to get it onto paper. Your story is in your head. You just need to get it onto paper and you need to allow yourself to finish.
Okay, now I want to ask you, everybody says, it's easy to write. Walk me through that process.
Not easy for me because I had a lot of limiting beliefs, right? Self-limiting beliefs. I truly believed that I was not a writer. I truly believed that I didn't know how to write. And a lot of that came from the very beginning of my life. When I started writing, I would have I had teachers who would redline everything and mark everything out. And of course, for me, what happened is that solidified that, oh, I can't write. I suck, and I would do Facebook posts and I would agonize over just writing a Facebook post. And then as I found that, some people would reach out to me and say, that was a really great post. Thanks for sharing that. And I said, maybe I do have something and I just need to work on this. I just need to work on it, do more of it and work on a skill, right? So as far as writing the book, the process that I went through it's 7 chapters. The first thing was to come up with the titles of the chapters. What do I want people to walk away with when they pick up this book? Well, I wanted them to see that they could save time and money by reading my book. That's why it's called the 7 most important lessons that will save you time and money. So it's time and money saving. So then I said, okay, so each chapter then needs to be based around saving time and money. That was my premise of my idea. And so I came up with the title of 7 chapters. And then after that, I came up with 3 subtitles within each chapter. So a total of 21 subtitles for each chapter. Then what I did is based on the subtitle is I would write each subtitle section at a time. So I didn't tackle the whole book. I tackled a subtitle. So what would happen is I did have my titles first. Fortunately, I'm able to come up with titles first before I write. And so I would take a title and I would look at it and I'd say, okay, I'm going to do this one today. And I would just go ahead and open up Google Docs. There's a dictation thing on there. I would click the dictate thing and I would just speak my book, speak that section of the book. And then it's like things were moving along. It's like, okay, I'll do another one. So I looked through the book. I found one that resonated with me in the moment. And I went ahead and dictated that one. And that's how I did it in 7 days. So I literally did 3 or 4 subtitles every single day for 7 days. I didn't plan on doing 7 days. It just happened because I was on fire and I was feeling alive,
So that's an interesting one. I've never really heard of anyone doing it the way you just explained, to actually dictate it and using Google Docs. I mean, that's just awesome. Especially if you've got a mental block against sitting behind a desk and typing your story. Most of us can talk the hind leg off a donkey, right? So if you simply talk about it and then use the Google Docs dictation or anything else, use your phone, anything. But of course, the big thing with Google Docs is it can then type it for you. So it saves you a lot of time and you just have to edit afterwards, right?
Right. And what I loved about that is I was in the legal field for 20 years as a legal secretary and I was a proofreader. So I had this, critical mind, right, of words and punctuation and all of this stuff. So what happened was as I was reading, I was, not reading, I was dictating my words. They came out in a different way. It came out as me speaking instead of me typing. Because when I type, I don't know about everybody else, but when I type, it comes out in boring legalese because that's what I was used to. And being able to speak my words and then have them translate really helped because the book is you could tell it's written by, it's spoken. It's like a spoken book, And what's also interesting about that is that as I dictated it, I didn't look at my screen, because I knew if I looked at my screen, I would stop it and punctuate. I would stop it and capitalize. And I did dictate, like, we went to the store, period. So I dictated the periods and the commas, because you can dictate that, but I didn't look at it because I knew how critical I would be of what was coming up on the screen if I looked at it. Then I went back to it and I edited it after.
Now, that's another good tip as well, because I think I would probably do the same as you. I've also been editing for almost 30 years, and also very critical of that sort of thing. So that's a great tip, not to actually look at the screen while you're dictating, because you'll get in your own way, as they say.
That's for sure.
You'll prevent yourself from moving forward. I want to acknowledge Sally Dean on Amazon Live. She's saying it's brilliant, Lynda. So she's enjoying your story and your advice that you've given so far. What did it feel like once you got the story out of your head and type? How did that feel?
It felt good to get it out of my head, but then that next step, right, comes to, because I self-published it. I did the whole Amazon Kindle, KDP or whatever it's called, and I did that whole thing myself. So I had to learn all those steps, and there was a long process to go. And when I'm in a process mode, there's no emotion. So I'm able to separate my emotion from the process. And because I was in a processing mode, I was like, okay, I got that. Let's go to the next thing. That's kind of how my mind works. And so I was able to just move to that next phase right there. But still, it felt great to get the story on paper. But when I published it, I was scared. Because people are going to read my words.
That was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you exactly that. It's like, how did it feel? Like, were you not paralyzed by the fear of what people would think when they read your story?
Yeah. And what's funny about that is called the year of fears, right? I faced a fear every day, but I still have fears. I'm a human being, right? So when I published the book and I hit that like upload button, to put it on Amazon, I just, like, my heart was beating like crazy and, palpitating. And it was a scary thing, because what if somebody actually bought it? And what if somebody gives me a bad review, which I got a bad review, whatever. And at the time I was very scared, because what are other people going to think when they read the bad review? So it's like, it just keeps spiraling out of control. And then I said, you know what? That's a funny review. I just read it as it's funny. And it's okay. That's that person's take on it. He said something, it was a gentleman, said something about it being rudimentary and everybody knows this stuff. And you know what? That's okay. It's my story and I'm sticking to it.
That's just got to be the spirit of it. It's your story. You're entitled to tell your story. And, even if there's one person out there that relates to your story, then it's been worth it. All of it's been worth it if you could help just one single person. But guess what? I think there are tons of people out there who can relate to your story.
I want to touch on that, Bridgetti, because we hear that all the time, right? If I can positively impact one person, then I've done my job. I say that all the time because I truly believe that. Well, that got shown to me. One day I was attending an event and there were about 200 people at the event. And I was standing, it was like a break time. And I was standing there talking to 2 or 3 friends of mine. And this woman comes running from the other side of the conference center and she's yelling my name, Lynda Sunshine, Lynda Sunshine. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, this lady's going to attack me. Who is this? I didn't know who she was. And she said, I got your book. I read the first 14 pages and I've already broken through 5 fears. And wow. I said to myself, this is who I wrote this book for. This was not for me. This was for that one woman.
Wow. That is just phenomenal, to get that kind of feedback. And you think all that angst that I felt was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, that was my own angst. Get out of your head, Lynda. Get out of there.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite sayings. Sort of like, get behind me, Satan. All those demons in your head and your mind, and it's like going live, like we're doing now. I remember the fears I had of going live when I started. I'm sure you had some of those too. I felt like the screen, I was going to get swallowed up by the screen or viewers, or, what are my neighbors going to think? What's my husband going to think? What's my children going to think? What's my mother going to think? All these negative feelings came flooding through my mind. But none of them they were all unfounded, all of it. And I think the same as when you write a book. All those fears really are completely unfounded. It's just that negative voice in your head that's holding you back.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And it's interesting because before I wrote The Year of Fears, which is my own book, I was in a collaboration book. And that was scary. I was only in one chapter, and that was scary because people would see my words. I didn't even share that book with anybody. I didn't tell anybody I was even in that book for about a year and a half or something like
Wow.
that, because I was too scared for people to read it. So it's an interesting progression, right? Because I was in that book. It was called Footsteps of the Fearless. My mentor was writing this book, and he said, you're facing a fear every single day. This is the perfect book for you to be in because it's called Footsteps of the Fearless. So I ended up joining that one. And then I wrote The Year of Fears. And then, I'm a 6 times best-selling author, and that doesn't happen just by not doing anything, right? So the next question I asked myself, because I'm always asking myself, what's my next thing? What's the next natural progression for me to take? And I asked that question. Okay, I was in a book. I wrote a book. I'm going to start writing my own collaboration books. So I started, that, and I came up with an idea to write a book called Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action
Lynda,
Takers.
you're just reading my mind today. I was going to move
The
on to
next
momentum. So let's show us the book.
Yes, Momentum, 13 Lessons from Action Takers Who Changed the World. Now, this book came from the idea of that. I mentioned Frank Shankwitz, the creator of the Make-A-Wish Foundation earlier. It came kind of from his idea that everyone can be a hero. And I had met him, and I met the founder of UGG Boots. I have my mentor, Greg Reed, who's known as the Millionaire Mentor. I met the gentleman who invented the credit card magnetic strip, something that is used worldwide. And I met these amazing people who have been changing the world. And I was myself in this state of momentum of moving forward, just constantly moving forward. And I reached out to each one of those men and I said, I'm thinking of writing a book called Momentum, and I would love to have you in the book. Will you join me on the book? And every single one of them, without a doubt, just said, yes. What do you need me to do? What do you need from me? And I was like, oh crap, I've got a book. And I'm going to have these people in it, these amazing people who literally have changed the world in one way, shape, or form. And so then I went on, the next steps was to find co-authors that would join the book. And I ended up finding, I think we have 13 lessons plus a bonus lesson or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's really,
It was 30.
okay, thank you. Yes, I think I have 12 and a bonus, and it's cool because I took that next step. I just took that next step, and it was scary. Again, a lot of things we do in life are scary, especially when we're doing it for the first time. I was going to now be compiling authors. I was now going to be telling the story. I hired a ghostwriter who wrote the book and everything. And it was a super scary step, but I did it. And that led to my next collaboration books, which I'm working on now. And so it's really cool how, if you think about the one step you have to take right now, today, in order to get you to where you want to be, you have to take that first step. Everybody had to take a first step. All those successful people you're comparing yourself to right now, each one of them had to take a first step, and they might have fumbled, but you know what? They picked up the ball and they kept going.
It's not getting started. I think you may know David Burrows in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As he says, you got to have a chapter one. So you've got to start somewhere. Everything
Yeah.
in life starts with a chapter one, a first step.
Yep.
And then everything else from that follows. It sort of becomes a cascading effect. But you've got to take that very, very first step. And so this then did you subsequently started a support group or an organization called Women Action Takers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, women action takers, again, during my journey, things have come up and I've had some epiphanies for myself about, who I am and who I want to surround myself with. This was really important because, coming from an abusive environment and believing all these negative things about yourself, to come to this realization that, I have value. And I started connecting with people who have value also. And I realized that I love spending my time with them so much that I wanted to create my own environment. And I also again realized that no matter how much I hear people all the time say, I hope this happens, or I wish this would happen, or I'm going to pray on it, or I'm going to manifest this into my life. No matter how much we hope, dream, pray, desire, manifest anything in our life, if we don't take action, nothing's going to happen. And I wanted to be surrounded by action takers. So I created Women Action Takers. And, I'm a woman of action. I want to be surrounded by them. So why not create my own environment? So that's what I've done. It's been an absolute amazing journey. Bridgetti, I think I met you before I created Women Action Takers, I think. Yeah. So it's been a
Yes.
couple years now that we've met. Yeah. But, creating that environment, it's cool because I'm on Clubhouse now. People are hopping over to Clubhouse and I'm loving Clubhouse. And I want to talk about action. I got onto Clubhouse, and that very first day, I created my own, what they call a room, where I'm going to host people and I'm going to bring people in and talk about topics. And then I'm going to give a comparison here. On Facebook, I had Women Action Takers. I started it about 2.5 years ago. In 2.5 years, I have 1,100 members in the Women Action Takers group on Facebook. I joined Clubhouse, and 2 months ago, I created the Women Action Takers Club. I have the same number, 1,100 women in my Women Action Takers Club on Clubhouse, the same exact number as I have on Facebook that took 2.5 years to build. So talk about action. This is one thing that, I'm just talking about it just quickly. We'll just kind of gloss over it. But Clubhouse is a place that if you want things to move fast, I highly recommend getting over there. I'll just leave it at that.
And a quick note on Clubhouse. When they initially started, it was an iPhone only app, but now it's on Android as well. So you can access it on either one of those two operating systems.
Yeah. And I even got an iPhone just to get on it. And I'm so glad I did. I did it because I had a job. Somebody hired me to do some work and they said, okay, now I need you to go over to Clubhouse. And I was like, I don't have an iPhone. And they said, I need you to do this. I said, okay, I'll get it. So I got an iPhone just to get on Clubhouse. And I am so glad I did. It was well worth it.
Oh my goodness. I also want to acknowledge we've had Moses Collins watching us on LinkedIn. He's made a few comments. So thanks very much for joining us. And also Lillian Muller from Switzerland has also said hello in the comments. So great to have you guys join us. And also a huge big thank you to Sally who joined us live on Amazon.
That's so cool. The Amazon Live, Bridgetti. This is such a cool thing. I'm going to switch really quickly. How the heck did you get on Amazon Live? And that's just such a cool thing. I didn't even know it was an existing thing.
It's funny that a lot of people still don't. It's still relatively new. And the nice thing about being on Amazon Live is that people who are watching there are looking for information on things that they're looking to buy. So for example, if you're talking about a book, people are looking for information on that book or the author that would make them want to buy that particular book instead of a different one, or, you've got a microphone that you're using there nicely in the display. People want to know, well, which one are you using, by the way?
I'm using the Blue
Yeti.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you've had that for quite a while, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been using it, well, probably for about 3 years. The blue Yeti I just got for Christmas, but before that, I was using the silver blue Yeti. But yeah, I love this
So there's
thing.
a silver blue Yeti and a blue Yeti.
Yeah, they have different colors now too, so it's
Oh,
kinda cool.
wow.
They have a black blue Yeti.
Nice. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. So yeah, well, you obviously like the Blue Yeti. I've got the Samsung,
Uh-huh.
and also just been very happy with it. But you know what? Find what works for you, I believe, and go for it. You know, what's right for you isn't necessarily right for someone else. But it is nice to hear people's stories about what works for them, because
Mhm.
then you know what to try and not what not to try. Um,
That's kinda
and
cool.
that's yeah, no, absolutely. No, I really it was quite a journey getting onto Amazon Live, because it's so very different from all the other platforms out there. And I think you do really, really well. It's got a great audience. Um, and it's a great
Yes.
time to get onto Amazon Live because Prime, Amazon, what do they call it? Amazon Prime is about to
Mhm.
happen soon, soon, soon.
Okay, well, you got my wheels spinning. So what does this mean? I got to decide, am I going to move into action or not? Because women action takers, you know. But I can totally see how somebody could just make their whole channel about reviewing products. You know, that's so fascinating. Thanks for sharing that.
It is. I think it's brilliant. I mean, we all use stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I've got a phone. We've got so many gadgets in our homes, and you never know who else is looking for a pen, and they want to know, what does it feel like in your hand? What does it feel
right.
like when you write with? So when you share stuff like that, it inspires people to want to look at something.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. So Moses says, great to hear your wonderful experiences, Linda.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you so much. I'll share really quickly because I know we're going to end pretty soon here. But sunshine, Linda's sunshine is
Oh yes,
not.
do
Yeah.
tell me, do tell us about that. I did want to ask you, your name being Linda Sunshine West, where does that come from? How did you get that middle name?
Yeah, so it's not my given name. It's the name that was given to me just within the last 3 or 4 years. And that's what, like, after I hired my life coach, I started believing in myself. I started stepping into this new, like, who I really am. I had been, at the beginning of the show, you mentioned, how I had stifled my voice. I stifled my voice
Mm.
for decades. So once I started speaking out, once I started stepping into who I am, showing up authentically and vulnerably and all of these things, just randomly somebody called me Sunshine one day. Hey, Sunshine. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then somebody else called me Sunshine a couple weeks later, and then somebody else. So about 4 or 5 different people who didn't even know each other, by the way, called me Sunshine randomly. It was such a weird thing that I looked at it and I said, you know what? If they're calling me Sunshine, there must be something to this. I'm going to go ahead and adopt it. And I went ahead and changed my Facebook name to Lynda Sunshine West. And it felt really weird at first, like, what are people going to think about me thinking I'm Sunshine? That judgment, fear of judgment. And then I said, you know what, screw that. And I changed my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my Instagram. I just changed it everywhere, my signature line, on my emails and everywhere, and just started to embody that. And it's been cool because, like, just about everywhere I go, people are like, you are sunshine. You do bring the sunshine. And by me seeing my name that way, it helps me to also remember that that is who I am and show up as that person.
That is absolutely brilliant. You really, we all have to learn to own our story. Because if we don't own our story, we're going to take on the stories of other people. And generally speaking, if we take on the stories of other people around us, we're not going to be in a happy space because allowing other people to control our feelings, how we feel, and how we do things, instead of using our God-given right to determine how we feel. And as they say, happiness is an inside job, and we can only find our happy space if control our own narrative and not allow other people to to determine what our narrative in life may be.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And if you spend time allowing others to determine your narrative, you're missing out. You're really missing out on being who you really are. And that's what I allowed to happen to me. My ex-husband, my first husband, on a daily basis said, "You're stupid, you're ignorant, and people are only nice to you because they feel sorry for you." He didn't say that. He yelled that. And it got solidified, like locked into my brain, that I am stupid and I'm ignorant. That's why I had such a fear of judgment. What if I say something and somebody catches on to that, to me, like who I really am, and catches how stupid I really am? Don't say anything. Don't say anything, because they might catch on. That's gone, by the
That
way.
is a
That's gone.
thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Lynda, you are
I
an
still say
absolute.
silly things, but okay.
Well, that's it's saying silly things now and then is what we
I'm
need
here.
to do. We can't be serious all the time, but you've been an amazing inspiration. You're doing a great job with women action takers. You're inspiring other women, one woman at a time. So from me to you, you're doing a phenomenal job. I admire you for what you're doing, for your strength and your courage, because it does take strength and courage to put yourself out there. But you've healed, you've grown, and you inspire other women.
Thank
So
you so much. Thank you. And that's my mission, is to inspire and motivate people to take action. Women is who I work with. That's where my heart is, because I know what it's like to be stifled and to come out of that, right? And so I like to provide a platform for people to do that. That's why I write these collaboration books. I want to tell their story. I want to help them, give them that medium to tell their story. And that's why it's so important to me to do this. And you're just sharing your story with the world. There is somebody out there who needs to hear your story. And so by keeping it bottled up inside, you're a little bit being selfish. So go tell your story. Let them hear it, because somebody needs to hear it.
absolutely. Lynda, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun chatting to you today. I want to say thank you to our audience on Amazon Live. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our audience on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on YouTube. Stay safe, everyone. Take care. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.